few weeks, I think, are going to be very interesting. Sorry, I just hit the microphone. Didn't mean to do that. I think that's going to be, it could be really fun. It could be really not so fun. But, oh my God, I don't think it's going to be so much fun. I'm sorry, I just don't, because we're already...
We're not in a place for fun.
No, we're not in a place to see humor.
No.
In misfortune or anything else for that matter. Irony.
I mean, it's dark humor. Laugh or cry, your choice.
Some dark humor, though, that's the humor that gets you through the darkness. That's why it's dark humor.
No, yeah, I'm a fan of dark humor.
I am too.
I am a fan of dark humor. It is.
I'm not always a fan of people that see that I'm a fan of dark humor. They just think, ew, you're dark.
You're dark.
You're dark.
Yeah.
No, I'm Sonia Lee. I'm here with my friend Piper Lynn. You're listening to In My Experience.
And here we are, not being dark. Well, maybe a little dark.
You're wearing black.
I wear black every single day, literally.
Black is her signature color.
If I don't have black on, I don't know what to do with my life. And I've been this way since I was an adult.
Yeah.
So there's been a couple of years.
Yeah, the parents tend to get a little concerned as a child wearing black all the time. I've noticed that. They'll actually even refuse to buy black pieces to put into your wardrobe. You need some color, sweetie. You're so pretty. Why don't you wear something bright, like a yellow or a teal green?
No one literally ever said that to me.
Oh, I've heard people say that to me. I've never had anyone say to me, wear pink. Because that would have been bad. Now I wear pink a lot, but...
Yeah, you didn't like pink or something.
I was
right?
anti-pink.
You were anti-pink.
I was anti-pink.
I was a fan of pink.
Oh, yeah?
I was a fan of all colors. But black is like life. Black is like water. Right? You must have black.
Well, we've been talking about the shadow over the last few weeks. Being comfortable with the shadow, being comfortable with your darkness. And black absorbs, right? So, if you could be absorbing energies, or your clothing could be absorbing the energy to keep it from penetrating the transdermal, which we were talking about earlier. We'll get to that one later. Put a pin in it. Because that's your largest organ, right? And that's why I look at black. Like, it's protective, right? We look at that. It's protective. It repels or absorbs or negates negativity. Now, from a light spectrum, it absorbs heat. So in the summer, we wear black and we go out and we're like, man, I should have wore a light color.
Boy, that was miserable.
Why did I buy a black car?
Especially when it's October and it's still 100 degrees.
Yes.
My mom was telling me, she's like, well, it's actually 99. I'm like, 99 is 100.
That's splitting the hair right there, man.
When I hit 95, we can talk about it not being 100.
And it's funny because for those places that don't have that, for some of us, 1 degree difference makes all the difference in the world in Arizona. It really can. 109 feels very different from 111. And in October,
it doesn't.
Right, then nobody cares. We're just dying.
We're just dying.
We're just dying.
Dying on the vine.
In the cacti. Trying to get to the Circle K for an icy.
Please help me. Yes, that's what our mirages look like here in the Phoenix metro area.
Circle K's.
There's no palm tree or water in the ground. It's a freaking Circle K.
A big white sign with a K and a circle around it in the night. Okay, we're digressing. This is what happens in the heat, people. I mean, seriously, 10 months of heat we've had. No, not really. But it's been like this since we did have a late start. And I knew it was going to be bad because we didn't start getting hot until June.
We did have a late start, you're right.
So it will probably now carry over until, well, I know what I'm wearing for Halloween. And it ain't Fozzie Bear.
No, well, you didn't grow up in the Midwest. Remember growing up in the Midwest, whoever's listening to this, when you would put on your outfits, right? And then, and if you're my age, you had masks. They were really cool plastic masks that you put over your head with the elastic that went around the back of your head.
Oh, yes.
Those. And then you did everything you could to not have to wear a winter coat because it would screw up your costume. And so it was really sad. When you had to wear a winter coat. And then as I got older, as a teenager, I grew up in a small town, and we still trick-or-treated even into our early teens. And so
I say if a kid shows up at my door, I don't care how big they are, they're getting a piece of candy.
Right. And that's a big thing out now these days, right? Is that if someone shows up, and give candy to the parents who are out there.
I don't care.
Everyone gets candy.
Listen, if it stays in the house, I'll eat it. Please, take this candy.
Take the candy. Yes.
I don't give candy anyway. I give healthy snacks, but I'm not, they're good healthy snacks.
Are you serious? Are you one of those people that...
I am, but I give some of the best, most organic, but they're so yummy. I eat them all the time. These little, fruit chewy thingies. I don't like gummy bears, but I like these fruit chews.
Yeah.
And they've got good stuff. There's no high fructose corn syrup in them, right?
You're good.
But they're yummy. They taste good. So, but I just can't. I can't do the high fructose corn syrup. And there are a lot of kids that can't now because of different sensitivities and allergies. That's something where I know. Unless you've got a dye issue, because let's face it. Actually, no, these even use beet juice and natural vegetable dyes, so they don't. They're really good. I should give the name, but they're not going to pay me, so I'm not going to advertise.
So you don't get to know.
That's right. Come to my house and you'll
get
some.
Knock on the door, adult, child, whatever, she will give you.
But yes, that whole experience of being able to go trick-or-treating and, Mom, I'm fine, I'm not cold, I would take mine and take it, and then as soon as we walked out the door, I'd shove it down in the bottom of my pillowcase.
Yeah, and here, what I'm doing with my son when I get him, when he wears a costume, you're looking for a costume that is the thinnest, that is the lightest. You don't want to wear anything underneath it, anything on top of it. You certainly don't want a mask because it's still hot outside on Halloween. So Nolan this year, I got his outfit. I bought him some scrubs and I got embroidered Dr. Nolan on the pocket. So I did that when he was a little kid because he also won't wear anything other than clothes.
Right.
He won't wear a cape. He won't wear anything on his head or his face. So no masks, no weird things.
Yes.
So
I did that a lot of years though. Come home out of work, out of the hospital, have to go take the kids trick-or-treating. I just keep my scrubs on, grab myself a golf club, and I was Dr. Sonia heading to the links.
There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. Last year, Nolan was a Target employee.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
They actually gave me a badge. I asked for one, and they gave me a badge. So he had his khakis on, his red T-shirt, and his Target badge with his name on it.
Target. Nice job. So
anyway,
we talked.
Cheers to Halloween.
Right? That's what's on our mind right now. We're looking for something. They've taken everything else away. You're not taking We've already decided to. I don't care. We're having stuff. If a kid shows up, we're going to hand out, I'll wear the gloves. I'll keep it hermetically sealed, whatever. But they're just, because what do we got after this? Right? Thanksgiving and
Christmas alone.
And, right? And for a lot of people, those holidays aren't fun holidays anyway.
No.
Because of the family dynamics.
Because of
So that's not really something we could be looking forward to necessarily. And who knows, you may not even have any family left at this point, been alienated, right?
That's
how much have we seen of each other? But, one of the things that we like about doing this show is the fact that it gives us a chance to sort of process our life experience in the new, 5D plane with you. And share, and maybe it resonates, and maybe it's helpful. And really, it just, I was telling Piper Lynn earlier, I just kind of feel like for me, It's like I go through my week, I live my life, I have these experiences, and then through the awarenesses, if I have any of those, I think I can go and share this. I can talk about this.
Yeah.
And so rather than teaching or training, I'm just sharing life in action, and maybe you might find something that's relatable for you as well. And right now, that's the best that I can offer. I can offer other, but that's the best that I can offer because it doesn't require as much of an energetic output as the one-to-one interactions or the group to one, the dynamics, all of those things. Like, I don't know about you guys, I've noticed too that with this isolation, you know, my sensitivity has become even more heightened, so that now when I am around people, I'm not just feeling you, I'm reading you. I'm reading animals, I'm reading inanimate objects. It's, you know, TMI.
I am absolutely at the place, and I never, ever, I rarely was, right? I used to be a flight attendant. I used to work with large groups of people.
Right.
This was a thing. I loved it. I thrived on it. And I still wouldn't consider myself an introvert, but I can tell you, since everything that has happened at the beginning of this year, it really is too people-y out there.
Oh, so people-y.
And I don't even... That's so interesting that I am saying that and feeling that, because that's not a normal experience for me. But man, oh man, I don't need to shop at a store. I'll shop online. I don't need to go out there. I don't need to do that crazy stuff. I don't need to.
You know, and that is so frustrating for me, because there's another piece of me that really wants to rebel and revolt against, you know, so we think about how so many people were against Walmart and what it represented. Don't y'all think Amazon's a little Walmart-y?
Oh, I agree.
Right? But yet,
I agree.
I won't go into the Walmart, but I'll order from the, you know, Amazon, Walmart type, you know, thing.
Right.
So I'm having to sort of wrestle with my own hypocrisy and... But
I love wrestling with my own hypocrisy.
I wrestle with my hypocrisy. In fact, we have nap
On a
time
regular basis.
every day,
Yes,
3:30 to 4:30. This is, you know, like right now, so much of our society is just so, you know, just rock hard nipple about how they're going to stand on their belief or their foundation or their stance or their whatever, right? Mm-hmm. We see that.
You will not make me do that.
Right.
Anything.
Right. And I will not ever vote for your person. Right. But when it comes to things like, you know, how we live our day-to-day lives, it's like, okay, on that, I can't be moved. But go out, deal with people, buy local, stay home, be safe. Use the credit card, shop online. I feel the shift in my values as we're going through this. And then they shift again, right? You know, I'm like an addict. I'm out of gluten-free bread. I can't go to Fry's. I'll order it online. Why do I buy from these places? You know, and it just goes around and around. Now, I know you're laughing, and she's laughing. You're thinking, she's insane. I don't feel this way all the time, but have you ever stopped to consider? And then you just have to kind of sit back at, is inane a word?
Well, and it is, I mean, yeah, it's a thing, revisiting our values repeatedly. I mean, conversations about things that are made overseas and shipped to us and made by slave labor or children labor, something that we would not hopefully condone.
No, let me buy the stuff that's made by 12-year-olds in Sri Lanka. That's the goods I want.
Right, absolutely. And so, because it's less expensive.
Yes.
You know, and it can be very good quality. Like when I worked at Nike Golf, all of their clothes were made in Sri Lanka, Thailand, all those areas.
Right.
And and it was good quality clothes.
Sure. Nike.
So, yeah, it's not like we're talking about cheap clothes. But yeah, absolutely. Revisiting our values. What hill are we going to die on?
I feel like I'm a groundhog in a sea of groundhog holes, and I don't remember which one was mine. And
I can just see it pop my head up. Oh no, this isn't it.
I don't live here. Wait, am I in Kansas?
No, you're not in Kansas anymore.
Not anymore, Toto.
Not anymore.
And, the signs, right, are so there in just, even in those sort of banal sort of things where it's like, well, that doesn't really matter. And yet there's a sign. Because does it really not matter?
Right.
Like, as we begin to, peel back the layers of the onion, you get to smaller and smaller pieces, right? When you get to the center, the kernel, the nugget, the root, whatever you want to call it, is that even what it was?
What do you mean?
Does it even resemble
yes.
what it was that you right?
That you started
yes.
to
peel away.
Right.
And then what do you do with that? Well, this is of no use to me. I guess I toss it in the garbage and go find myself another onion. I mean, and so there are these, like, I can understand why people are looking at their life going, I don't know. I do this a lot. I don't know, because whatever it was I thought I knew is shifting and changing.
Yes.
As I am.
Yes.
In each and every ascending moment, right? I activate, I amplify, I ascend, I adjust. It's the 4 A's.
The 4 A's, yes,
right?
Absolutely.
I don't even know if I could repeat that. We'll have to play it back
That's
later.
right. You'll have to listen and write it down.
and yet, how do I have time for anything else? I couldn't shop if I wanted to. I'm too busy doing the 4 A's.
I'm sorry. I have spent 8 hours on the 4 A's today. I need to.
And we're not saying a foray.
No, not a 4A. Not a 4A.
So, what are the signs? What are the messages? What is life? Is life speaking to you? Is life speaking to you? It's speaking to me.
Oh, yeah.
In a language that I've had to go, sign up for Berlitz or whatever it's called. Berlitzer.
You need the Rosetta Stone.
Rosetta Stone. There you go. And yet it's like I understand it, right? It's not like I have to, start with the verbs. But I still need to recognize that I am not in Kansas anymore. I may still be, everything may still look to my worldly eyes to be the same. There is nothing. That illusion of life is becoming more tangible than the tangibility of what I thought was my reality construct. Does that make
So
any
go
sense?
ahead and just pause.
Right? I said that and went.
And step back and think about that. What is reality? What is not reality? What is,
Yeah. You're spinning the wheel.
Yeah.
This time it landed on 7.
So we'll go with 7. The problem is the wheel keeps spinning and we still think we're stuck on 7.
Yeah.
Or we're still sitting on 7. We don't have to say stuck. But,
as appropriate. So I really this week I ran away from home. I came back. I went on vacation with the family. Yeah, the same one I ran away from. And I had a lot of internal work. I was initially viewing it as external issues, and I came around to, while there are external issues, the rectification of those issues is all 100% internal. And while I've known this, I've talked about this, I'm practicing this. This past week it was different from before. So, you take a little stumble, you look to see if anyone saw you trip, and then you walk like you know what the hell you're doing.
Sonia's actually a cat.
Oh, man.
Oh, I love it.
And, and it's going to change again. Because, like, right now we've got all this really intense energy. October's a big month. We were talking astrology a little bit before. We do have 2 full moons, a new moon.
Which is the day of today.
Which
right?
is today. Today's
so
new moon.
The recording.
Yes. We didn't do a show last week because of me running away from home. And then Piper Lynn had some things that,
Which I will mention
we
later.
just didn't, I'm not telling her story. Here we are today. It's Friday the 16th. It's new moon. It feels completely appropriate to me because while we could have talked about the releasing in the releasing, we might have missed something. So I always believe in divine, timing and all of that. Everything's in its perfect way. You know though, we don't make a habit of saying we're going to post every week and then not.
And then not do it.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And if you're going to, if I am going to be a functional human, I need to trust in divine timing. Because I sure as hell can't control all that stuff. How do I know? Because I've tried.
Yeah.
I have tried. So, yes, divine timing. And I will agree with what Sonia said, that it was a decision that we ended up making, but we didn't take it lightly.
And it didn't take us lightly either.
No, this week was not light, or this past week has not been light for either of us.
Or any of us. Has it been a light week for you?
Yeah.
If you have, good on ya.
That's right. That's right.
Check in and let us know what this week looked like. Because again, there's a lot of things, and there's a lot of tension, and there's a lot of life that's going on right now, and it's going to get really bizarre. It's going to get even more wackadoodle. That is a technical legal term, by the way.
Bizarro world.
It is bizarro world. In fact, we need to come up, because bizarro world doesn't even. It's an existential crisis world.
Bizarro world's from Seinfeld, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But this is like...
But we need more than that.
This is like Bizarro cubed.
Bizarro cubed. Thank you. It is. It's even more than squared. I agree.
Because it's the Holy Trinity.
It is intense.
Yeah. And again, can we not hang? Well, we're hanging. We can hang. But I like to talk about this, and I like to talk about this because, I recognize that, and this is something else I wanted to talk about a little bit too, in that last week, and some of the things, while they were really big issues for me, and they were really big things that I needed to work through and address for myself, I also had to accept and own where I was being a little petulant about what my expectations were for this particular moment in time.
Right.
And instead of just being in gratitude, and not saying that, in a tense moment you have to be in gratitude, it helps. It helps shift things a lot faster.
Right.
And it doesn't, and I'm not talking about jumping over the thing or sides, stepping it or anything like that. I'm just saying that as we become ascended beings, we can be both.
Yes.
We're not limited and restricted. This isn't a gear shift.
No.
I can go forward and reverse at the same time while being present and neutral. And what I really needed to see and recognize was that.
There you go.
Stop being petulant about the things that you don't have when you're the one that's Stop hitting yourself.
Yes.
Stop hitting yourself.
Hitting yourself.
And so, I don't know, maybe that's what, you've had for a week as well. But what I love about all of it is that, and I am in complete gratitude for the fact that I can see it, I can work through it, I have the openness and the bravery and the ignorance and the wonder to be willing to say, okay, this is where I find myself. Let's just stop, drop, and roll with it.
I like the addition.
Right?
Not just roll, but roll with it.
Right? Because I'm
Very
on
nice.
fire right now. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm spontaneously combusting, and sometimes it's a passion, and sometimes it's, it's all those things. And with Mars and Aries and retrograde, we're all feeling the fire.
Right.
Right? Or the fire is being lit underneath us, if there's stagnation there, or within us. And, as our friend Jane Elizabeth likes to say, this is an energy that is going to the inner child, the inner self, the higher self is going to burst out of you. Because it ain't being held back anymore. You can't tamp down that flame. And the flame is your own divinity. And when you think that you are less than a divine creature, a divine being, and I'm not saying this as if, you're godlike. What I'm saying is that if you want to go there, okay, you are in, a godlike image. How about that? The I am that I am. Mm-hmm. But even if it's not that, how about just this? If that doesn't resonate for you, that you are a divine co-creator of a life experience. And if that doesn't work for you, then you are Neo, waking up in a putrid eggshell. You're not small. You're not a victim. You're not incapable. You're just keeping yourself there. And the other thing that I came to realize about myself, and I really worked through this one, I feel so happy that this morning in my meditation they gave it to me, because I kept saying, I have to accept that I'm the biggest light in the room, right? Mm-hmm. And that just didn't feel right. And then it was like, okay, so I have to accept that in my little family, I'm the spiritual, I can't even say leader. I just struggle with it, right? And they're like, yeah, we know. But because I've attached...
That's why you are.
Right? That's why I've attached so many, though, human, egoic,
right.
Fire retardants.
Fire retardants.
They just showed me a bunch of fire extinguishers. Like the Three Stooges show up and they just go. And she's like,
aim low and wave back and forth. That would be from my flight attendant days. Aim low at the base of the fire and wave it back.
And meanwhile, I'm going, that was my dinner.
You called?
I have no sustenance now. But seriously, so here's what I ended up with. Right? Mm-hmm. Amplification. All right, we already talked before. I'm an ascension activator and an amplifier. And so...
An amplifier can go both ways.
Yeah. What have you heard?
Oh my God.
What she said.
So moving on.
It was right there.
It was. I handed it to you on a platter.
And I said, thank you. I'll have another.
Oh my God. All right. Perfect. Anyway, my point being, it can be a negative or a positive experience being an amplifier.
Yes, it can. And that felt much more resonant to me than the biggest light or the spiritual leader. And okay, am I parsing? Am I splitting? Maybe. But what I saw in my mind is that my light can go and flow. Mm-hmm. Right? And as an empath, and I think this is important for all of the empaths to know this, and I think this is the mastery that I needed to accept and step into. Mm-hmm. Right? Because we often talk about being an empath as it being like a curse or a challenge or a thing. And I have taught for years.
Sit down, have a conversation with that.
Right?
Yeah.
But I've also for years taught the empowered empath.
Right.
Right? I love Rose Rostree's work, right? How you are truly the most important person in the room. And this is where I laugh at myself, because here I am putting this all out here, and here I am just now going, oh, yeah. That actually does make a lot of sense, right? I can be the victim to the narcissist, or I can be the changeling. And the narcissist will never know what hit him, her, it, right?
Right.
Because the energy is mine to shift and move, to expand, to retract. So, step into that leadership. If you're an amplifier, be an amplifier. If you're an activator, be an activator. If you're divine, scribe, be a divine scribe. Whatever it is that you find yourself, quit shrinking from it. It's yours.
Right.
Use it. I have a car. I could walk everywhere, but why? I have a car. Fair enough?
Sounds good.
And that's what I got was, you know what? Since I'm the amplifier, let me wrap that up because maybe I didn't. Since I'm the amplifier, it is my responsibility. If the energy isn't as such to my liking, then I'm the one that needs to adjust the amplifications.
And look, in that simple twist of an idea, you are no longer the victim of other people's emotions
and energies.
And
it's ramping up. Like, this is not because I can't handle being an empath among people, but when you can walk past a used bookstore and feel the energy of everyone that's ever touched a book that's in there, those not good feelings. And that's a new feeling for me.
Yeah.
So, it might be something different for you, but whatever it is that's going on in your life, you've noticed maybe that something is sort of ramped itself up.
Right.
Maybe to an uncomfortable level. That's where I'd start. That's where I did start.
Well, I had the exact same experience this week, but mine was in a completely different way. And this is one of the things that I absolutely love in my friendship with Sonia, is because we often have the same, I don't know, how would you describe it?
It's same gas station, different pump.
Yeah. I mean, we're both like, oh my God, I learned this week. And she tells me how she learned it. I tell her how I learned it. And it's so completely different.
Right.
But this awareness, this opportunity to understand, to grow, to evolve, to whatever.
Yeah. The trends, the themes, all similar.
Right. But how we experience it in our own lives is very different. Mm-hmm. So talking about sensitivity. So just a little backstory. In 2011, I had my thyroid removed. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, which was very, very odd for a healthy 43-year-old, but it was what it was. So I had my full thyroid removed, and I didn't need anything else, and I have been completely clear since then, so that's lovely. But for some reason, within a year of that, I started being allergic to alcohol. And I wasn't, at that point in my life, I wasn't a big drinker anyway. Right. I would, have a drink on Christmas, on New Year's, maybe my birthday. I mean, it was like, 3 or 4 times a year, one drink.
Yeah.
So I didn't really notice it, so I don't know exactly when it happened. But I would get like classic allergies, like my face would puff up and I'd get welts on my face, my tongue and my lips would swell up and start to tingle.
So pretty severe reaction.
It was intense, yeah. And so, I mean, this was literally not with one drink, but one sip of one drink.
Wow.
So, and so I just stopped drinking because I didn't care. I wasn't drinking anyway, so it didn't matter. Right. And the few times that I have had a drink, because I really wanted to have like a glass of wine, I took a Benadryl, which seemed to be enough, and then I slept for 12 hours afterwards.
Don't you know you're not supposed to drink and take Benadryl?
Well, don't do it and drive, that's for sure.
Right, yes.
But, so I did that once in this period of time. So anyway, I just never thought about it, right? You just don't drink alcohol.
Right.
So that's fine. So I never really thought about it. And then with all the changes that have occurred in our little world with COVID and all of our extra cleaning and sanitizing and so on and so forth. When my son went back to school, which happened the middle of September, when he went back to school, we found out that he had an allergic reaction to the cleaning products that they were using in the school, because we weren't really using them at home.
Right.
And so we took care of that. So he's not having that problem anymore. At least I don't think he's having that problem anymore. But of course, I never thought about me. So then last week...
Of course.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Moving on. So then last week, I strangely started with a migraine, right? And kids, I kid you not, I had a migraine for 8 days.
It was awful.
It was horrendous. And it wasn't just a migraine. Every single thing in my body hurt. It hurt to move anything. And I have migraine medication that I take because I have a tendency to migraines, either stress or sinus. And so I had to take one every single day, and as soon as the drug wore off, the migraine was back immediately.
And mind you, these are not long-term migraine medications. They're 7-day, 30-day period max or something like that.
Right.
This is heavy-hitting stuff.
So after however many days, I was like, okay, this isn't going away. I'm not functioning. I mean, I actually thought I had COVID, to be honest with you, because I had sinus problems and everything else. And so went and saw one of the practitioners that I see. She does NAET, which is an energy kinesthetic and Chinese medicine based treatment. She's also a Chinese medicine practitioner and used to be an RN. Anyway, so I went and saw her, and she helps me a lot. She helped me figure out what was going on with Nolan. We took care of him. So I contacted her, and I'm like, I'm losing my ability to function at this point. It's not going away, and I don't know what to do. And so she called me back, and she's like, so what have you changed in your cleaning products? And I'm like, nothing. I mean, I don't,
right.
Nothing. And then she asked me, she's like, well, have you been drinking? I'm like, drinking?
Right.
She's like, I'm like, water? Do I need more? She's like, no, have you been drinking alcohol? No, I can't drink alcohol. I'm allergic to it. And she's like, well, what have you been, you have changed something. What have you changed? And I'm sitting here thinking. And then the alcohol clicked.
Yes.
And I became aware that it was actually last month I bought these alcohol wipes. And I usually use Clorox wipes if I use wipes at all.
Right.
And
which you can't find
which
now.
You can't get.
We should sell them. We'd make millions.
So I got these alcohol wipes, and I started using them, about 8 days ago.
Oh, goodness me.
Imagine that.
Look at there.
So, yeah, she's like, so you're having a reaction to the alcohol. She said, and the fact that you already know that you're allergic to alcohol. And I'm like, I didn't even think of that. So doing treatments to deal with that, trying to stay away from alcohol. I threw those wipes away and started looking at alcohol all in my life, right? Alcohol's in everything. Everything.
Shampoos, lotions.
Absolutely.
Everything.
And so, within 24 hours of talking to her and beginning treatments for that, my migraine went away.
Amazing.
And I still am having body pain, but I need to. I mean, these treatments are going to still last another week.
Yeah.
So I have a while to go yet. But I'm functioning. I have energy. I can talk. I can see straight. So the sign of alcohol, and then the realization today, as a matter of fact, I took a shower. I woke up, I took a shower, put on my lotion like I always do, and then realized that had alcohol in it. And within minutes, I started having more physical pain.
Yeah. And the sensitivity, the heightened sensitivity.
Right. That's the whole story. That's the whole thing. Sonia experienced her heightened sensitivity in one way. I experienced it in another way. And it's just interesting. And time and time again, I am shown that everything that I need to understand what's going on in my life is in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe I need to step out of it to understand it.
Sure.
But I don't need to step out of it to find something.
No, the answers are there.
Right, it's right here. What I need to know is happening to me right now.
Right.
So what I needed to know was that I need to pay attention to how sensitive I am becoming. And while I can laugh and joke about it being too people-y out there and how that is different and a relatively new thing for me,
Yes.
to the extent that it is now, that wasn't enough to help me get really clear on just how sensitive I am
because
becoming.
those signs and symbols are there, and they can be subtle. And if you catch them and you start stringing them together like pearls, then you get, you can find, oh, look, these are breadcrumbs. I'm finding answers. And then sometimes when you don't, they kind of ramp it up a little bit, right? They hit you a little harder. They make it, you feel the impact a little more.
Oh, you ignored that last message? Let's try this one.
I'm so sorry. You must not have understood me. Here! Did you feel that, right?
And both of ours were 2x4s. For both of us.
2x4s. Because, also, and I'm about to give an excuse to hear that. Because, justify. Because
of all the things she does.
Right? So, it doesn't matter why because. But if you're curious, and you'd like to hear a because we weren't paying attention.
Right.
To ourselves specifically. Now, why did Spirit put us out? Why did the universe, why did COVID put us all in lockdown? So we could pay attention to ourselves.
Right.
Specifically.
Da, 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 da. And it hit us in the ways personally that would affect us the most. Because what affects me being single mom of my beautiful little boy is when I can't function.
Right.
If I can't, because I will function, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much sleep I've had. It doesn't matter how bad I feel. I will do what it needs to be done. And I know any other hardworking, hard-loving parent is going to feel the same way,
100%.
right?
You do what you got to do.
Right, absolutely. And so when it gets so bad that I can't, then I pay attention. Now, yes, I can work on that.
Absolutely, right?
I can continue to improve in that area. And then Sonia had hers come out in a different way.
Yep.
Based off of your life.
Yeah. Oh, no. My safe space, like you, I can go, energize, but I can do, I can endure, I can handle, I can carry the load, I can work, morning, noon, and night, all of that. None of that bothers the physical. But if I don't have, at the end of the day, that soft, sacred space where I can hang up the suit and just be the spirit, then things are not going to work well for long.
Right.
And so, physical, But if I don't have, that little crab shell that I can go into and just sort of sit there and go, okay, the whole world is gone and it's just me, and I'm calling back all the pixelated, fragmented bits of me, then life is just not going to flow.
Right.
I'll do it for a while, and then eventually I'm doing the funky chicken because I have so fragmented from myself that even Geppetto can't keep me moving. And I know this, right? Just like she knows if she doesn't take care of her physical self, then she cannot physically take care of her son.
Right.
In those moments in our life, I don't have time for this. And that's really, ladies, if you find yourself continually saying, I don't have time for this, please let me advise you to stop and take some time.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's like that statement, you should meditate for an hour every day.
Yes.
And if you don't have time, you should meditate for 2 hours. Right? So that's lovely.
What else do you have to do? Where else? I mean, honest to goodness, is there really any, and this is the thing that's driving me crazy, but it's also driving me crazy about everybody else. And I think I had to come to it first before I could then recognize that I really need to give everybody else a break. Because I've been really hard on everybody else. That would be my
personal experience.
Right. I've been really hard on everybody else. And yet, here I am, once again, because you don't ever do that, do you, Sonia?
La, 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 la.
But in order to be able to see it, right now I have more empathy for others.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen it in myself.
Right.
And so it looks different when we see it on someone else. But I swear to you, they don't show you something unless it's a reflection.
Yeah. And that is
in someone else.
And that's the whisper as opposed to the 2x4.
Ding, ding, ding,
right?
Ding, ding.
So the 2x4 is giving you an 8-day migraine.
Mm-hmm.
The whisper might be, that didn't settle well. Mm-mm. You may want to pay attention to that.
I'm feeling a little not 100%.
Right.
Let me see what's going on. Because you could have figured this all out yourself.
I could have. Absolutely.
And you're grateful that she is in your life to assist you with that now, because apparently you can't. Even though you can.
Even though I can,
you can't.
I'm not.
Yeah. So, you don't have to do it all. You don't have to be stoic. In fact, I think that one of the biggest lessons for a lot of us that have been, that walk with the servant's heart, is that we can't receive. Or if we can receive, but we need to schedule it. Or we need,
Girl, yes, the scheduling, oh, absolutely.
And I'll give you an example for something, too, because I had a situation where we were camping where I'd gone a little over long, and because of all the stuff, when I'm doing all this processing work and clearing and stuff, it makes me hungry. And sometimes it makes me hangry, and I find I have a lot of issues with keeping, wanting to eat, having an appetite. I don't have an eating disorder. I get busy. I don't have time to eat. I go. I forget sometimes. And so I've had to prioritize food. I know, laugh or think, what? She's crazy. And I love food. But sometimes food isn't the top of the priority list for me. And so what I'm finding now, because again, I didn't take the settle, right?
Yeah.
Now when I don't eat, I get crabby, I get cranky, and it reminds me of growing up with my father who had hypoglycemia and a brother that had it.
Mm-hmm.
And, the brother would, he'd chase us around the house and try to kill us with things.
How unpleasant.
Yeah, we'd make him so mad. He'd pick up a knife or a hammer, and he'd try, and of course we're laughing at him because,
right.
He's insane. But this was the 70s, we rolled hard. But what we learned about that with him was that his blood sugars were low.
Yeah.
Right? And that's actually dangerous.
Yes.
And so the doctors explained, and then Mom explained, because my mother was a nurse. And so what my little brother and I would do is we would grab him, we'd wrestle him to the ground, I'd sit on his chest, pin his arms, and my brother would shove a celery stick with peanut butter down his throat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not kidding.
Mm-hmm.
We'd force feed him peanut butter or juice or whatever we could get in him, whatever was in the house,
mm-hmm.
to get his sugar levels as such so he wasn't, the evil person that he was in that moment. So for me to see that and connect that to that childhood memory, it's like, oh, I don't want to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good way to be. So, I've been trying to, doing different things. I have a little protein shake I get to make sure that I'm getting some protein earlier in the day. And just different changes that I've made, but not enough
mm-hmm.
to keep me from, I thought I was doing enough to be in tune with and pay attention and give my body what I needed. Apparently it was the bare minimum. So I've had a few situations. I've had a few situations with people, friends, family members around this, hangry.
Mm-hmm.
And so I finally just sort of opened up about it and shared it with my family and said, this is kind of the thing, and I know, and I'm sorry, and, I'm working on this. And so, and I felt good for having shared it,
mm-hmm.
because they don't know what's going on with me in my life unless I share it. And I'm going to be an incredibly private person, even in the house that you live with me.
Yeah.
So...
I resemble that.
Right? Well, Pisces do. So anyway, here I was sitting yesterday. I was on this 3-hour phone conversation with someone for a workshop that we're presenting this weekend. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to make sure that all the technical stuff was going to do. So, we're on the phone, we're on Zoom, we're doing all these things. And at this point, it's 2:30 going on, about 2:30 in the afternoon. And all of a sudden, around the corner, because my mom, and she just drops on the desk in front of me this napkin, and in it is a little piece of cheese and a little piece of uncured turkey just in a little roll-up. Mm-hmm. Doesn't say a word, just drops it and walks away.
Yeah.
So, I'm still doing my thing, but I pick it up, I shove it in my mouth, I eat it. After I get off the phone conversation, I go find her, and I say, thank you for the little roll-up. And she just smiled.
Yeah.
Right? And so... now I've got this helper.
Right.
To help me to stay on track. Because I've made another shift that said, okay, I see now. You hit me with the hammer. I see that I'm not taking care of myself enough. I've shared with people in my life who are now stepping up to support me. Mm-hmm. So I can be in a state of gratitude and still... focus on taking care and doing what's best for me. I don't have to do it all myself.
Right.
But I have to make the decision to do it myself.
Right.
Is that
That's valid.
Yeah, I think okay. And absolutely. And hopefully that sort of helps, again, to sort of give you some ideas of what's showing up in your life and why. And with a little bit of examination and maybe even a little bit of dialogue or discourse.
Right.
New information can be revealed. It's showing up to share something. Be willing to have the conversation, even if it's with yourself.
I was just going to say that. I can't tell you how many times I've had these types of conversation with myself throughout my adult life, mm-hmm. where I'm looking at something, I'm like, okay, so that was really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at, and it's a judgment-free zone. Mm-hmm. It's a shame-free zone. And it's just looking at what occurred and going within myself to test to see what that might mean. Mm-hmm. And if it was something that I did not enjoy and I would prefer not to experience again, then what can I do mm-hmm. to take steps so that it doesn't? And that is literally anything in life.
Yeah, and it's so empowering. And absolutely. It's that simple. You don't have to have all the answers.
No.
But if you know that you need to seek some answers, you put yourself in that state of query or wonder, and then, don't things sort of come to you? Don't you ask a question and the answer seeks you out?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it just comes to you, or it just comes to me.
It just comes to me.
It just comes to me. And instead of going, what does this mean? I have to understand what this might mean. What could this mean?
I wonder why this is showing up now.
Why would this occur? Mm-hmm. It's along the same lines of, when you are doing something in your, what the advice would you give to a friend, mm-hmm. right? And then go ahead and take that and use that for yourself.
Right, because you are a friend to you too.
Right, and many of us have the ability to be more objective mm-hmm. when we're looking at someone else's life, and to be more neutral and more centered. And so it's just, for me, it's just turning that on myself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
Yeah, and even those lessons and things.
And it's always.
It always is. And it's never, I won't say never, but if you think that you're done with it, then you're going to be sure to have it show up again.
And you're not done.
When you're done is when you don't even think about, am I done? Mm-hmm. Right? Because it becomes that non-issue. It just becomes, or sometimes it just becomes part of you. Like I know I've had some things in my life that were triggers for me, really big triggers, and I had to go through several experiences to be less triggered and then not triggered and then neutral and then finally, okay, I see what you're doing here. No, it's fine. Come on, let's do this. It's going to be fun now.
Right.
Because I get it.
Right. And that's actually where the gratitude comes in,
oh,
too.
Yeah.
Then you can sit there and you can be like, I am grateful for these opportunities, not only to learn this skill, this talent, this gift, this evolution, but to now understand that I am in control of it.
Right, and creating it or
not creating,
it.
Absolutely.
Yes, and that is a much more empowered state to be. And again, I feel like the signs and the symbols everywhere right now are saying to us, be empowered.
Right.
Like, I've used the expression, stop being small. I've had it used with me so many times. And I want to find a new word because I just don't feel like it's adequate enough. Start shining.
Okay.
And if you are shining, shine brighter. Crank up the wattage. Because that, to me, if I was given, and this is the conversation I have with my people, if I'm given the choice to create my reality, why do I continue to create craptastic realities? And they're like, we don't know.
I saw them. They're like hands up, like that emoji. They're hands up, shoulders up. They're like, we don't know.
We've been trying to figure this one out ourselves, sweetheart. We just don't get you at all.
Are you done yet?
Are you done? Stop hitting yourself.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And I wish I could say that there was more to it than that, but that's been our problem all along. We get a little bit and then we overthink it.
Right.
Right? We take it, well, if this works, then more will work even better. Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not when you understand the power. Before, yes, it took the sheer force of will to move that power around. I don't know about y'all, but I found I have to be a little bit more careful because my energy arms, I just get goosebumps too from my people. My energy arms are like there. I don't know how to use them yet, but I've knocked some stuff over walking around. I'm not going to lie.
This is true.
So, gotta see that power and use that power, right? I think about vehicles, right? Mm-hmm. You're driving a Yugo, it's a very different ride from a Trans Am or a Lamborghini.
I think that, I don't know if you could find a Yugo that still moves, but
I love to use the Yugo as an example, though.
It is a classic.
$3,000 car.
I remember.
I wish I had bought that unicorn back then.
I remember.
Anyway.
Oh, man.
No, you were just, we were talking about the taking the power and using it wisely and driving the car,
I don't
know the vehicle that you're driving. Well, it'll come back, Jordan.
Oh, I get it now.
Hello.
Yes. All right. So, no, the thought was that you are an empowered being. I am an empowered being. And when I was in a place of not knowing that I was an empowered being, that empowerment was used against me.
Oh, yes.
And that has always, if I find myself in a situation where I am a victim of something ongoing, I'm not talking about a momentary thing that occurs, but an ongoing where I believe that I am an ongoing victim of something.
Yes.
That it's because I am not claiming my own power, but it's out there and someone else is taking it.
Yeah. You know what it makes me think of? So, we went camping in an RV. We stayed at a state park that had full hookups. Like, not just water or electric, but sewer as well. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of rare here in Arizona anyway, because we don't have a whole lot of full hookup places. We were laughing about the fact how when we were washing the dishes, and we actually kind of went into the week with, we'll use a lot more paper goods and we have to wash less dishes, because washing dishes in an RV is just stupid, unless you're in a newer one, and we're not. But the other thing that you got to be mindful of when you're not hooked up to a sewer is filling your tanks. Mm-hmm. So you don't turn the water on and just let it run like you do at home in an RV.
Right.
Right? Because you've got a finite amount of fresh water, and then you've got a finite amount of space in that gray water tank.
Right.
And so to be able to be in this campsite where we had full hookups and the water was running straight down to the sewer or to the septic, and we're washing dishes, and I'm like, boy, I tell you what, washing dishes is a whole different thing when you're plugged in, and my mom's like, right? Like, before I was filling a little bucket, and I was like, I don't have to fill the bucket, because it just flows.
When you're plugged in.
So when you're plugged in and you just let the energy flow, right? Mm-hmm. Then you don't have to worry about using too much of it. Worry about wasting it. Worry about filling your tanks overflowing, right? Mm-hmm. There's you know what you got and you know what you're working with. Right. And you can work with it, right? As opposed to the limitations of like we could have continued for the whole weekend to do the way that we did, but we didn't because we didn't have to. The other thing was being plugged into electricity. I didn't care if I left every light on inside the RV. It wasn't on the solar panels, which
right.
need to be recharged, right?
Right.
Yeah, leave lights on. Somebody else's electricity. So, to me, it's like, how do we behave when it's our own energy as opposed to someone else's?
Yeah.
Right? And if I was an energy vampire and you were this big shiny ball of energy and you didn't even know how to protect yourself from it, I'd be like, well, let me pull my straw out. I don't mind if I do.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And we call them narcissists. I call them opportunists.
Oh, absolutely. 100%
You're the one walking around wide open going, I just want to feel. And I was one of those too. I was a feeler that felt everything and thought that was the way I was supposed to feel until I realized that as the amplifier, everybody else felt what I felt too. Mm-hmm. Now I'm crossing boundaries. Pooping in people's lawns.
Don't step into someone else's cat box.
I love it. And we're laughing, we're making some jokes and stuff here, but I like to present these things in different ways because I think, one, we've taken ourselves way too seriously this year.
Yes.
All of us. Way too seriously. When life gets serious, we need to lighten up.
In more than one way.
So, as you go through your week, as you think about some of the things that we've shared, maybe you've got some questions. Maybe you've got some comments. Maybe you got to take a step back from this and come back to it later because it was a little bit more than what you was ready for today. We know we've been there. But we hope you'll come back. We hope you'll share because, we're not just sharing with the group, as we were listening to someone earlier, this is an area where we both agreed we're willing to be in the group.
Right.
And that doesn't happen in a lot of other arenas in our life, either by our choice or through others, right? So, we're right there with you.
We are, absolutely.
We graduated, we got our master's degree, and then they sent us right back to kindergarten to learn something new.
Yeah.
So, if you'd like to reach out to us, our email is inmyexperience1111@gmail.com.
And our website is inmyexperience.life, L-I-F-E. This podcast, of course, is going to be on Podbean. If you go to our website, you can also connect there.
Yes.
And it'll come up there, too. And we will be back to our weekly.
Next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the meantime, be well, stay safe and strong, and
shine brightly, baby.
Shine brightly. Take care. I'm Sonia Lee.
I'm Piper Lynn. Bye now.